with all the things that went wrong for the DCEU and the handling of Zack Snyder's tenure over those films, the people would point to villains, primarily just Warner Brothers itself as an entity, which I think the main mistake was the constant interfering with Snyder and more importantly, 11th hour changes, which is what really doomed the Justice League film. The problem, if you have problems with Zack Snyder's ideas and vision for what your DC films would look like and feel like and all that, that's a decision you make at the beginning. When he turns in a script, which he did with his pal Chris Terrio, they were working on that. And they did. They said, no, that's too dark, too scary, whatever it was, and changed it up. He agrees. He does it. He said, okay, this was good, go forward, and all that. That's it. The decision is made, you know, and this constantly kind of trying to change things around, and let's do it this way. Oh, I don't want you using this character because now we've decided we want it in this other movie. You can't do that late in the game, and yet they continue, I think, to do this to this day. But anyway, well, one of the supposed villains of this was supposed to be Geoff Johns, which I've been reluctant to, speak to this, or because I mean it's still speculation to a large extent. We really don't know what went on in the discussions of forming this cinematic universe for DC characters, but Geoff Johns was clearly another one of these guys who hoped he could be the Kevin Feige of the DC universe, and that's a powerful lure. And just the idea of getting into Hollywood has always had a powerful lure for a lot of comic book people, and none of them are happy about it. I mean, maybe Robert Kirkman with Walking Dead, even though that ended up in lawsuits and everything. But for the most part, it just seems to chew them up and spit them back out, and it never seems to go well. But here, Geoff Johns is one of these guys, they said, came in and interfered with Snyder's work and with Terrio and made it unworkable for them, and ultimately was trying to shove the guys out so that his influence would grow in this and guide the ship of these films. He's a good, solid writer. I've enjoyed a lot of his comic book work, but I'm seeing no evidence that he has any ability to, produce films and television. Now, so here in Cosmic Book News, Matt McCloy puts this forth yet again from this recent live stream that Grace Randolph did about the story and what her sources tell her. So apparently Geoff Johns screwed over Zack Snyder and was a big part of bringing aboard Joss Whedon. Now, I think bringing aboard Joss Whedon probably had a lot of allure for Warner Brothers executives because they were hungry for that Marvel success, and here was the guy who had delivered 2 Avengers films. So, oh man, if we can get this guy to direct Justice League, then we'll be right there, just like Marvel. And it doesn't work like that. Especially when you're asking this guy to patchwork together a Frankenstein version of a movie that to this day no one has seen. So anyway, Grace Randolph said that Geoff Johns is still one of the producers on the movie. I guess that's contractual deals and stuff like that. But he is listed first, even though he is widely disliked at Warner Brothers. In fact, I can tell you, Johns is pretty much the one who was responsible for Zack Snyder being replaced by Joss Whedon. He did it behind his back. That's all I'll tell you today. It's really bad. So apparently there's more details here. Was he really palling up to Zack Snyder and then, screwing him over when he wasn't around? Zack Snyder's ears were burning the whole time. And what the hell's going on? And suddenly he's out of the job. I don't know. So anyway, Geoff Johns is pretty much disliked by everybody. I hear Jim Lee is beloved. Well, Jim Lee is one of these, the no drama guy, you know, which, yeah, he comes across as a very nice guy. You watch his videos where he's drawing and stuff like that. but I think it's a mistake for him to be in charge of DC. I don't think he has the ability to. Sometimes you got to be the a-hole. You got to clamp down and rein things in, and it's probably too late anyway. I mean, the comic book industry is in dire. Well, it's beyond to say dire straits is putting it mildly. But that's another story. But yeah, a great guy and all this stuff. But Geoff Johns was banished from Birds of Prey. Well, a fat lot of good. That maybe his interference on that film might have saved it. But apparently he's burnt a lot of bridges with, Warner Brothers in filming and whatnot. And he was the head of the DCEU for a hot minute. And that is what allowed him to do that to Zack Snyder. Well, listen, Warner Brothers, you didn't have to do what he said. You could have stepped in on that when it was decided that Zack Snyder was in charge of this film. It's a little, like I said, a little late to come in after the fact and try to undo all that and get it out on time and all that. And you saw the results. But everybody hated him, and so he got banished to the DC Universe streaming service, and maybe he will redeem himself with Stargirl. Well, it has all the bells and whistles and looks of a CW show, so your best bet is that it's like The Flash. Otherwise, oof. Well, but anyway, she says, which I hear is massively delayed. Oh, really? I didn't. Oh, I guess it's supposed to be out by now. I don't know, but it's coming. Because I hear he doesn't know how to be a showrunner. Yeah, I imagine he is. He's a great comic book writer, but that doesn't mean you can move over into another medium. And show running is a whole other ball game than just writing scripts or stories. And I've seen that recently. I mean, maybe it's a different situation entirely. Well, not entirely, but somewhat, where Michael Chabon took over the Star Trek Picard series and was the showrunner. Oh, God, that show's a mess. Just all over the place. It didn't really have a story to begin with. Stargirl might do better if they stick to the comic books, especially the ones that Geoff Johns here wrote. So he could work well as a guiding hand, but if he's like, bulldozing through things and then changing his mind and all that kind of stuff and not quite knowing how to manage and, guide the ship that is the series, these are skills that, where does he get that from? I mean, he's written some great comic books. Okay. So at best a consultant over how the stories and characters should be dealt with. But, you need somebody with some managerial skill to actually run the ship. So even if Stargirl doesn't work out, he still has Batgirl. I didn't even know he was involved in that. I thought he was going to be doing a Green Lantern movie, supposedly. But since he's hated at Warner Brothers, maybe there'll be a Green Lantern movie at some point, but will it be his? So he's not well liked at Warner Brothers. So this is the first time Geoff Johns' name came up within the industry. Yeah, now this goes back. He talks about this. This is some time ago when Diane Nelson was defending. We tweeted an article that defended the violence in Joker, which, boy, I tell you, they kept saying how gruesomely violent it was. I've seen some violent movies, and this isn't one of them. Yeah, there's violence in it, but, okay, whatever. So she did this in defense of it. Then someone said, hey, you couldn't defend Zack's movies whenever little darkness there was, busy playing politics then, but now I guess dark violence is cool or whatever. Then somebody chimed in, too busy helping her buddy Jeff destroy his work from the inside. And then she responded to that one with, he's no buddy of mine. So no love lost between Diane Nelson, no relation to me, and Geoff Johns. So at least that's one person who was, one of the higher ups, at least with DC Entertainment, that did not like the guy. So what's he like behind the scenes? I don't know. But so I guess there's some amount of truth to this. But Yeah. The Green Lantern Corps, from what I heard of it, I think maybe this was the one that involved Tom Cruise, or that might have been the one Macquarie was pitching, which is too bad because it sounded like a pretty cool idea, and how you would introduce the Jon Stewart character with an older Hal Jordan, which Tom Cruise would play. And then by the end of it, Hal Jordan is dead. And so then you have the new Green Lantern of Jon Stewart. And but apparently one of the scuttlebutt was Tom Cruise doesn't want to play characters who die. So I don't know. But it actually sounded like a cool way to reintroduce Green Lantern and all that. And then that series, if you played right and done well, could be something that just, because you're constantly handing off to other Green Lanterns and whatnot. And that could have a long life if you really wanted to, but right now I don't think they know what they're doing. I think Wonder Woman and Aquaman was just plain luck, you know. So anyway, maybe Geoff Johns was a bad boy here. I don't know, but you know, little tidbits of certainly people don't like him, but then the idea of saying you're not liked by Warner Brothers, it's all Geoff Johns that screwed over Zack Snyder. No, I don't think so. And a lot of this was just being panicky at the reception of Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman, and to the point that they which there was meddling in that as well. You know, and so it's so much meddling, and again, 11th hour meddling just destroyed Justice League. So hopefully the Snyder Cut will get released. But now we have a problem with this guy here. Yeah. Plus Amber Heard, you know. But, you know, release the damn thing anyway, even if you got to dump Ezra Miller and Amber Heard and those characters and just recast them. But what are you going to do? You're going to start, if you're upset with the Snyder Cut because they're in it, well, guess what? She's still in Aquaman. You're gonna pull that movie too? I don't think so. You're not gonna stream that on HBO Max? Oh yeah, you are. You're gonna pull those Blu-rays? No, you're not. So you can still release that thing. Yes, you can, and you should. It will make you some money and get some excitement for your streaming service, which streaming services need that. They sure do, because the war rages on. All right, thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you, most notably my comic book night. Oh, yeah. And you can catch my podcast, Mr. Nailsin Show, over at RadioMisfits.com. Yeah. And, of course, you can watch videos like these on BitChute.